And if you have a copper plane and you put a microstrip on top, so here's the microstrip, and you short the end of it onto the copper plane, then you've basically created a simple transmission line. Here's the signal at the front end. Here's a point nearby. That's the contact point, the return point. If we send a DC current, so steady state, all the reflections have happened, we wait for a long time, the DC steady state current, what's that current distribution going to look like? We're going to have current flowing down the signal path. It's going to hit that short, and now it's going to make its way through the plane from that contact point to over here where we're launching the signal from. And so at DC, that current flow is just going to be, pretty much a general straight line, a little bit of spreading out there. It's going to take the path of lowest resistance. That's the DC way of thinking about the world, path of lowest resistance. But it's not really the path of lowest resistance, it's the path of lowest impedance. And at DC, impedance is just about the resistance. But as we start increasing the frequency of that signal, the path of lowest impedance isn't always the path of lowest resistance. That there's that omega L term over here. And that says that, for whatever this loop inductance is, as omega increases, this term starts increasing, and pretty soon, this term starts dominating over the resistance, and the path the current takes is dominated not by the path of lowest resistance, but the path of lowest impedance, and the impedance is about inductance, so it's really the path of lowest inductance, loop inductance in this case. And it doesn't take very high frequency to have the path of lowest loop inductance, instead of being this great big humongous loop, to have the signal return current is going to try to take the path of lowest loop inductance, which is the return current directly underneath the signal line. And so, I tried to simulate this with, I think this was HFSS, but the lowest frequency I could run was about 1 megahertz. And so at 1 megahertz, here is what that current distribution looks like in a microstrip. So here the blue means very little current, the red means high current density. So I launched the signal and the return point down here on the plane at the beginning, and here's at 1 megahertz, and I just terminate over here so we don't have reflections. So the yellow means we get pretty good current density in this path, and you can see that pretty uniform current in the signal line. And in the plane down below, well, here the signal trace is kind of blocking the plane, but you can see the return is not taking this low resistance path, it's taking this longer path, but low loop inductance, because the signal and return are really close to each other. The loop area is smallest in this case. And you can see the current's kind of spreading out a little bit, but it's underneath. And here we can look under the lip of that signal path, and you can see that's where all the return current is hiding. It's underneath the signal path.